Hey, welcome to another video. This one's going to be Comet Rogue. Now, I have not posted in like a month or two because, unimportant circumstances. So, what I'm going to do today is just focus on playing this epic video game. This is only the demo because the full version isn't finished yet. But the dev's an awesome guy. And I've just been, I got a little bit addicted to this game. It's a new roguelike, which, as you can probably tell by my absurd amount of low quality content, I like those. I like this type of game. Now, this is the newest version of the demo, so there's been a couple of changes since the previous versions that I was playing through. One of the main changes that I like the most is the reduction of screen shake in later loops as an option, just because this game gets very shaky. It's one of the things. Anyway, there's lots of different weapons and little goobers that you can have follow you. For me personally, I've chosen this little bat because I think he looks silly. And the shotgun is currently the objective best weapon in the game. Not a single other one beats it out because it's just good. It has the highest base damage. It is the most capable of dealing with enemies. It is just the best. There is nothing better. And believe me, I've tested. So I'm going to try and set up a decent run here while I continue talking about this game, because it's peak. It's so good. Holy frick. If my voice sounds funny, it is because I'm trying to be quiet, and I've got my retainer in because it is late. One of the only real complaints I've still got is these squibs feel like they deal a little bit too much damage. Other than that, peak. I'm going to start charging. Once you hit F, it begins the charging thing. There is a tutorial. I didn't go through it in this, but I might later. I'm currently the record holder for this game's highest score because, of course, it's me. I'm a deranged maniac who loves making numbers go bigger. If you couldn't tell by my content and the fact that I'm trying to YouTube. But for now, I'm going to show off one of the core mechanics of the demo because, of course, it's a demo. The only way to get items is buying them, which is fine. It's actually good. Makes a good reason to have money. But... oh, frick. Well, that's fine. Would have preferred to get that saw blade, but we just came up a little short. We're $1 short of a stat boost. No. Anyway, several items scale with your statistics. A couple don't, which is a little, annoying, but that's only when you get late game. Which makes sense. It is the demo. You're gonna expect some stuff to not be as polished. Especially considering that this is like a lot for a demo. Seriously, there's a surprisingly large amount of content for just a regular full release. Not even full release, just a demo of a game. I'm pretty sure even Minecraft's demo has less content than this. It's crazy. Or I guess it's original demo, since, I'm pretty sure... does a demo version of Minecraft even exist anymore? That I can't recall. Anyway, there's several different enemies that just start showing up late game, like... and by late game, well, let's just say immediately after the first stage, because that's what I consider to be late game, of course. Bro, freaking stop jumping. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die to the first freaking two of these enemies. Oh my gosh, bro. Perish. Okay. One thing that I think would be really comedic is an item or just the general ability to bounce off of certain enemies' heads. Specifically with the guys that shoot projectiles. They look so much like you could just bounce off their head. These guys, it feels like you should be able to jump on them, Goomba stomp them, etc. It really does. I know that that's probably not the intent, but it just looks like it. I want that to be a feature. I haven't voiced that because it's a silly little addition, but, like, come on, it would be funny. Oh, frick. I'm trying to avoid taking damage, because duh. And I want to get about 300 for the second quota. And the reason for this is because the only time you can get items is during the first 3 quotas, because it is a demo. Later on, I'm assuming the dev's probably going to add the ability to get more items later on. Also, you do not want to be at the bottom of the world pretty much ever. Why? Well, because of the squid enemies becoming detonators. They become rockets, missiles, subsonic speed projectiles that cannot be avoided. If they hit one of those springs, they will rocket themselves at you at the speed of sound and be unavoidable for a short period of time. Because, of course, I think it's funny. It's really annoying because it's an early run killer. If you're not smart, which I am not, so naturally it kills a lot of my runs. Oh, one of the most important items in the game is this thing. The extra finger. We also need the pencil. One more reroll. Okay, gun boots, great. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items. Okay. That should be enough of these individual things to make it through the boss stage, which is the next one, which is also the final one. You only ever need 2 of these things to be able to mine through every single material in the game, even the latest most game points. So that's great. Yeah, right. One thing that I should add in the final release, there should be some way to view your items and stats while in the actual loops themselves, because it gets a little bit annoying having to look through here to find them and not knowing them, especially after you die, to make sure you know what your build is, just because, you know, that type of thing's neat. Anyway, this is the only boss the game has, and it starts feeling less like a boss and more just like a regular enemy in late game runs that you manage to take further, because it's not hard to kill it. Like, it does not have very much health at all, in the slightest whatsoever. It's so wimpy. But that's because this game doesn't really do enemy health scaling very much, which is fine, especially because it is a demo. Of course it's going to have less stuff. One thing that I generally don't mention, or that I haven't mentioned yet, rather, I was going to say it. It was going to be so important. I had a very big complaint, I swear. Well, I'm sure I'll remember eventually. Dang, I have completely lost all capacity of human thought for right now. Let me focus on getting a good amount of cash real quick, because that is really important for this run to do well. What was it? Something about the bosses? Right, it's a demo. Of course, the bosses are going to be freaking lackluster. Like, it's early, and even then, they're pretty cool. I hope there are more of them in the full game. I hope the full game gets updated more than Void Wizard. This guy is also behind another very small game, Void Wizard. Peak, by the way, go check it out. It's only gotten a couple of updates. It's really good. I'll probably do a video on it later, just because it's also a game that I've been heavily addicted to, that I think has a couple of things that, if changed, would make it even better. Right, screen lock, that's what it was. One thing that I have a slight problem with some enemies is the way that they get locked vertically to your screen, which would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that it completely breaks some enemies. More specifically, these guys, these crewmate guys, lost crewmates, whatever they're called, and the squids. Because with the squids, they'll bounce freaking like crazy with the springs, and they also won't be able to destroy as much of the environment that way. Whereas with these guys, these crewmate guys, if you have the gun boots, the ones that I've got, you can fully cheese them by literally just off-screening them. It's super easy, even. They'll just get stuck on the floor, and you can kill them from there. It becomes really annoying that that's just the strategy that you can use, because it feels cheap. But also, late game, what else are you gonna do? There's so many enemies at once, you can't really have another choice. Anyway, I just think it would be really cool if certain enemies weren't restricted like that, because it would let there be a little bit more dynamical, you know, dealing with them. Like, oh, okay, there's a couple enemies that aren't affected by this. I gotta get better at freaking rocket boosting, or whatever it's called, shotgun boosting. Okay, I should move before I get killed. Dang, I wanted more money than that. Okay, what are we getting? I don't need any of those items. Uh-oh. Okay, I need this pretty badly. Okay, this thing sucks. If I reroll more time, I'm not going to be able to buy any more items that I need. I already have these two. I would have liked more saw blades, but what we've got is what we get. Let's buy some intelligence boosts, because if we don't have them, we're screwed. That's not a joke. We literally just are screwed. Another minor complaint. The rate at which the costs spike after the first loop gets so immeasurably high that if you don't exclusively buy the intelligence stat boost, you're kind of screwed. Here we go. First loop. Or I guess technically second loop, but who cares? We need to be fat as heck. Also, if we ever let go of left mouse button, we won't be constantly scaling our attack speed, which becomes problematic very, very fast, because we need to be able to do damage constantly. Also, the drills, I should really be using them more. Have some fun little tech attached to them where they, you know, you can spam back and forth to drill faster, which, again, not sure if it's intentional. Knowing the stat probably is. It's really cool. I love it. I love that type of thing in this game, in the games in general, where you can have just like tech attached to items and stuff. Oh, right. Another minor tip. The enemies that spawn with orbitals, I think you saw them for just a second there. It will always spawn to the right of them, exactly in that position, which honestly, good game design, because it means that you have a way to consistently avoid that type of thing. I like it. It's cool. It's predictable enough and random enough that that you know to always try to stay to the left of these. Now, another way that it could be done would just have it outright always spawn to the opposite direction of the player, which would guarantee that they don't spawn damage you, which gets annoying if it does happen. Ah, crap. There was another representation of a minor bug that I've had problems with lately, especially in the bigger runs that I've been trying to get completed. When an enemy dies, there's a small time frame where they can still damage you, which would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that several enemies have orbitals that can rocket into the player, which is the main issue, especially with the squibs, because with the squibs, they can kind of just freaking explode you to death by launching themselves at the speed of sound, which, again, is funny, but really annoying, especially if you're going to lose a late game run due to an enemy bugging out because they're actually supposed to be dead, but don't die properly. Which, honestly, still incredible for a demo, and the demo itself is also still being updated, which is even cooler. Because you wouldn't think the demo would continue being updated while the devs working on the full release, but no, they're still fixing bugs in both versions. It's awesome. They're genuinely a really awesome dev. They're very, very small as well. They've made they've made one full release other game that's been put onto Steam. They made a couple other minor ones that I think you can get off, I think, an itch page. I haven't looked into it enough because I haven't looked at any of the other games because I've gotten addicted to this one. Because, oh my gosh, it's good. It's really good. Yeah, anyway, if you ever reach the hard difficulty on this slider, because like Risk of Rain, difficulty increases with time, which is awesome. This game gives me those types of vibes like Risk of Rain. It's that good. As good as definitely the original Risk of Rain, almost certainly going to be as good as the Risk of Rain Returns, the remake. It's peak. This game is just good overall. The demo's a 10 out of 10. It's shaping up to be a 10 out of 10 game. We have to immediately buy all of the intelligence boosts. I'm gonna buy a strength and a dexterity, and then save the rest of my money, because we need to get our dexterity up to 10 for this to work best. We want our dexterity to be high in the first place, because pickup range is insanely useful. And we want our strength to be high, just so we can do damage to tiles more quickly. And intelligence, higher it is, more damage we do to enemies. It's just generally the best stat. You're going to want to focus on it as soon as possible, since the discount it gives in the shop is, again, entirely required late game. There is a certain point where if you become powerful enough, you can just start destroying the entire world, which I have gotten close to doing, but never actually fully did, because I just ran out of time. Even in my best run, which I think I might actually have the recording of the end of. I might put it in this at the end. We'll see. I freaking got wrecked at the end of that run because I was stupid and made a massive misplay in the middle of it and got myself slammed in like a bunch of enemies. It was like loop 7. I've gotten good at this game. And oh boy, is it worth it. This game feels so nice to play. The screen shake is good. My only problem was, of course, it gets excessive late game, but thanks to the devs' incredible skill in understanding, they've managed to find a way to just have it reduce itself as you loop further and further as a setting, which is incredible, awesome, and is pretty necessary when it gets to bigger late game runs, because, of course, it gets pretty intense. Screen shake does. I also like the way that the healing is done. You have to keep mining to get healing. The only, like, thing I have a complaint about with the enemies is the only reason to kill them is to prevent them from annoying you later. They don't have any, like, score bonus or anything. The only score bonus is from money. Enemies, I think, have a very small chance to drop resources. I actually literally don't know, because it might just be tiles getting annihilated by them when they die, or by explosives or something. So, take that with a grain of salt. But if they do, there should be some kind of item that increases the chance for them to drop, like, currency or health or something. Because, frankly, they should. They should have, like, a chance to drop stuff anyway. I just think that that would be helpful. I think that would be cool. Not necessarily helpful, but cool. It would make the game feel cool. Make them drop tiny little bits of money. Or maybe just make it so that late game they drop stuff. Because, again, this game would massively benefit from bigger run potential, which it already has. Huge run potential. Like, long run potential, that is. Just because it's built that way. It's built like Risk of Rain in that you can get far, you just have to get... It just gets exponentially more difficult if you choose to do so. Not sure if it's a bug or intended, but again, I love... I was gonna say something. I didn't mean to say I love. What I meant to say was the explosives do not trigger, or rather the regular bomb explosives don't get triggered by the explosions that are caused by gold detonation from that one item that we picked up a couple of earlier in the run. I think that they should, personally. I think that those should trigger all explosion types. That is a personal thing, of course, but from a gameplay standpoint, that would just be better, honestly. I think, anyway. Of course, that is my opinion as a cool, epic gamer who has several $1,000 wasted in many different video games. Because, of course, and a very minor amount of game development under my belt. I've made a full roguelike myself. Where can you find it? You'll have to figure it out yourself. It's like an ARG. I'll probably mention it more later, but it's hidden there somewhere. Go find it. It's like the one... Anyway, I think we're about to start seeing them, but there's a special enemy type that basically... How do I put this? Phases through everything. They're cool. Again, they have the same problem as with the little Lost Crewmate guys, in that they just... They have the problem with Lost Crewmates in that they will get stuck at the bottom of the screen unless you're low enough for the bottom of the world to be visible. Like, it's just, they shouldn't be able to have that effect. You'll see enemies have different, like, status effects, right? That's just different effects that they have that make them stronger in different ways, which is cool. I love it. It's a very interesting and a dynamic way to make them special. Oh, I think they actually fixed this. Okay, cool. The bomb is being triggered, that is. I can check real quick right here, actually. Let me just blow that up and that up. Yeah, they totally did. That's sick. Okay. I didn't even notice that. So that previous pet peeve is completely revoked. Anyway, back to my infuriating and annoying rambling. The ghost effect appears in later loops, as far as I am able to tell, or it's just a rarer effect. But it makes it so enemies phase through tiles, which, cool. It kind of invalidates certain enemies' functions, though. It makes them not work the way that they should. The squibs, for example, the squib guys, I've just called them squibs. I actually don't know what their official name is. But I like calling them that because it's funny. They will just phase through stuff. They don't do any damage to it that way, which sucks because their entire gimmick is that they bounce off of stuff and deal damage to the environment. So if they don't lose the ability to get that effect, then rather than, you know, losing the ability, they should just be able to damage every tile that they come in contact with one time, and then be able to damage again if they come in contact with it again later. Which wouldn't be too hard to program, as far as I know. since I've done stuff like that myself before, and it wasn't too hard. Though, then again, I don't know if there's, you know, some other problems that might arise when attempting to do that. I'm sure the developer is more than capable of doing that, though. It would probably just take them a moment. Oh, okay. Cool, we're fine. Ow, frick. We haven't even met quota yet. Holy frick, that's problematic. We need to hurry, because we're already in medium and we haven't even reached quota. I guess it was just an unlucky world gen spawn, but still, it's a little bit unfortunate that we weren't already quoted up. Please die, thank you. I love the headband item, it's so helpful. Also, I do think that there should be more scalability to some of the explosive stuff. Because, you know, I would like if it had, like, increasable radius with enough of them or something, right? Instead of just damage increasing. Because so far, you only actually ever need 2 of the explosives. Alright, let's start charging up. If we reach hard mode, we are kind of screwed entirely. I do believe I explained why, but just to reiterate it, the spawn rate of enemies gets so immeasurably high that it becomes impossible to survive them once you reach hard difficulty. Or more accurately, mid-hard difficulty. Because at that point, it's Jover. Alright, we got a bunch of cash. 600 currently. Just buy some more intelligence. I swear it is completely necessary. Oh, jeez. Focus on intelligence and dexterity is what I should be doing. I don't know if I want to buy one more or just focus on maxing my dex to 10. I think I need to focus on intelligence fully right now. Oh, and I can still afford one. Perfect. So, with that, I should be able... Yeah, okay, this is going to start ramping up difficulty a little bit. Because we still haven't reached the final section yet. This material eventually gets turned blue, and I believe that's the final difficulty spike that the game has. If I somehow manage to make it that far, that would be awesome. I doubt we will, though, because this isn't really perfect RNG that I needed. Oh, here's an example of the ghost guys. They just phase through stuff. It's kind of annoying. I mean, it's a cool effect, but with the squibs, it's annoying because they don't really track you or anything. They just kind of, you know, chill. They're there. They're in a threat. They don't interact with the environment anymore that way, which sucks, because that's the one cool thing that they kind of are doing normally. These guys, at least, when they have the effect, are able to chase after you. Also, the reason enemies keep getting slowed down or frozen is because I have an item that does that. That's what the oil canister does, if you didn't catch a reading of it. I also haven't been explaining what any of the items do, because they have readings of them, and I already know what all of them do, so... pause for if you need to read any of them, I guess? I don't know. Also, the ghost enemies really should be locked onto your screen fully, instead of just vertically. I think that would make them more of a threat, and also, it would make them cooler. It gives the effect even more uniqueness in comparison to some of the others, which it already has, but, like, come on. Wouldn't you want to make the effect cooler? Or maybe just make that an individual effect on its own where it locks them to the screen. I don't know. That would be cool. That'd be funky. I'd like that. Of course, I'm not sure if that one would be very fun to implement, or even fun in general, just because there were already a couple of complaints, I think, about the screen lock, or at least on my part, because I'm a freaking weirdo who can't handle unique game design. Anyway, we're just going to try and get to the point where our projectiles are one-shotting all enemies and stuff. We only need to get that far. One thing that I should be taking more advantage of is buying all of this stuff up here. Oh my gosh, we're already at 200 price items. This is absurd, man. It's okay, we'll get there eventually. We're on loop 3 and items are already costing 200 to buy. It feels like a bit of a large spike, no? Well, that's personal opinion. I'm allowed to think whatever I want, but it doesn't mean that it's a good thought. Anyway, price spikes seem a little bit high. Maybe there should be more elements with just the way that time works with those, then. Personally, that might be cool, similar to how Risk of Rain does it, with prices spiking the longer time you spend. But that would also make it kind of hard to stick for longer periods on later levels. Also, one of the things that I do kind of dislike is the reliance on RNG to get good builds set up. You really need to have good luck to get a good build set up, because you're not guaranteed to have good quality items that you need in the shop every single time you reroll, which means that there's a decent chance that you just straight up miss out on items that are completely necessary to have a decent run. Because there is almost an objectively correct way to build a run at this point. That being, you need a lot of saw blades really early. Oh, here's an example of these guys getting the ghost effect. It's the worst. They're easily cheesable. It makes them useless. Anyway, as you can see, I've played this game a little bit much. That's probably going to do it for this video. I'm not going to edit this at all because I'm lazy as frick. But, I mean, this game's good. It's really good. I think that it is one of my favorites ever. It's good, man. It's up with several of the other games that I've spent far too much time playing. And when it comes out in full release, I'm buying it for myself. I'm probably going to buy it for friends because it's so good. Very minimum to show them it because it's cool. Anyway, with the ghost effect, I do think several enemies would benefit from either becoming fully immune to it or having a unique effect with it. Just like maybe having those Lost Crewmate guys able to phase horizontally, but not vertically. Though that might be painful, I guess. Maybe just make it so that they do the Terraria thing where they try to equalize their position vertically with the player. Because there needs to be some way for them to actually be a threat when they have that effect, rather than making them just a complete... just a nuisance at most. This game is incredibly well made. I love it. Vincent, the guy who makes it, Vincent, I know you're probably going to end up watching most of this. If you just skip to the end, hello. Please, please make the ghost enemies have some cool way to actually be impactful, specifically the friggin' Lost Crewmate guys. Just because they're a little bit annoying to not have any... I feel like all the enemies should be threatening. Please make the ghost effect work differently. I already know that they've heard this before. I'm just saying it again because I'm tired and it's like 4 a.m. when I'm recording this. This game is so good. Go check out the demo on Steam. This is Comet Rogue. Wishlist it, follow it. This is peak. Alright, most importantly, have a nice day. Bye!